I've had the Insta360 Luna Ultra for several weeks now, and I've stopped messing around with that settings menu. There's multiple features within this thing that have completely changed how I shoot with it. None of them are obvious, and some people, well, they might not even be able to find them. So let me save you some trial and error with this. A quick one before we start though. You see this little joystick on here? This thing does way more than just move that gimbal around, and it will in fact make shooting with this thing way easier than you could possibly imagine. But hold that thought, I'm going to come back to this in just a minute. Okay, straight in then with number one. Let's talk about some set and forget settings, which is exactly that. You set this thing up so that you can flip it on. As soon as it's on, you can hit that record button and away you go. Now I'm just going to tell you my settings, but I'm going to encourage you to experiment a little bit first time around, just so that you can find the ones that they feel right for you. But you can use this as a starting point. So first up, we've got resolution. Now, I shoot in 4K. I know this thing can shoot in 8K, but for me, 4K is absolutely fine for two reasons. The first one, I actually just prefer the look of the 4K image at the moment. And number two, file size, because storage is getting really expensive. So if we can manage those file sizes, that's why. So 4K resolution. Then frame rate, again, personal preference. For me, I choose 24 frames per second because it's just the one that seems to look nicest to my eyes. And I think from a little bit of research is in fact the one that kind of looks a bit more normal with some motion blur, that kind of stuff. However, there could well be the odd occasion where you want to bump that frame rate up. Say if you want to slow some action down, you'd run a higher frame rate so that you could then slow that down afterwards. But for 90, maybe 95% of everything I do, whether it's personal or in fact paid work with this, I'm at 4K 24 frames per second. Next up, we've got some different focusing settings on here. Now I have this thing set to autofocus continuous. Again, for about 95% of the time, I just leave it on that, because if I'm moving around, I want it to be able to focus on things that it's focusing on. The point where a single focus option might be good is if you're doing one of those things where you're kind of swiping up or swiping left or right, you're coming out from an object to immediately be focused on something in the distance, or doing the opposite way around. You want to fix that focus point and then leave it there. But again, for pretty much everything, I just leave it on the autofocus thing. I don't worry about things like product showcase or anything like that, because in this autofocus mode, if you put something in front of it, it will focus on that. And then when you take it away, it will refocus on me or you. Autofocus continuous is the good one there. Next is the gimbal mode, and I have this thing set to FPV. And the reason why is because where I'm pointing it up, down, left, right, twisting, rotation, wherever I'm pointing the screen is where I usually want the gimbal, the camera, to point as well. I don't want to turn for some action over here and the gimbal to still be pointing over there. The easiest way to think of it is, think of it like your phone and the camera's on your phone. So the cameras are here on the phone and you've got the screen on the back, and wherever you point that is where the camera goes. That's just how I like to operate it. FPV mode is the perfect for that. Now, speed of gimbal following, tracking, moving around, I have this set to fast. It's fast enough. I kind of wish there was an extra fast setting, because I'd have to that for those quick kind of move arounds, but it does catch up pretty quick. Now, something we need to talk about here is the exposure value compensation. I have this set down to negative 0.3 for no other reason than I like the way it looks. Experiment with your own one, leave it alone. Let's recap those settings very quickly. So 4K, 24 frames per second. Focus mode is set to continuous, autofocus continuous. The gimbal mode plus speed. So gimbal mode is set to FPV. So remember, wherever you're pointing that camera is where the screen, or wherever you're pointing the screen is where the camera will go, and the speed of that is set to fast. And then we've got the EV compensation, so exposure value compensation. I have it set to negative 0.3. Okay, now let's move on to the wide angle lens and the good thing about this and the problem about this. Let's start with the problem first. You've fired up your Luna Ultra, you want to take that wide shot, you've popped your magnetic wide angle lens on there, everything is good with the world, you filmed everything you want to film, and then you turn it off and this happens. The gimbal doesn't close up properly. So the wide angle lens is very good, but you can't close the gimbal properly, which means you also can't actually fit it in your little case properly. It just won't go. So good thing, good lens, bad thing, doesn't fit on there properly, which moves us on to those of you that might want to use ND filters. I'm one of those people. Insta360's ND filters are very good. I will link to those down below, and I will link to more budget available options for you as well. Currently I'm going to show you the budget option. Again, you just snap it on to your gimbal, to your camera, turn everything on, you film everything you need to film, and this time you can turn the camera off and the gimbal will put itself to bed. There is plenty of room in there to do that, which means you can then get it back in its plastic clippy case, which is really good. However, what if you want to use the wide angle lens and an ND filter? What do you do? Because as you can see by the shape of this, an ND filter is not going to stick over the top of that. Here is the fix for you. ND filter on your camera first, wide angle lens, get it around the right way, wide angle lens will magnetically attach over the top. So now you've got your sunglasses on your camera and your wide angle lens on your camera, but you're still left with that gimbal going to sleep thing because it just doesn't fit. So I guess that's kind of a two-in-one really. The wide angle lens is really good, but you can't close it on there and you can't stack an ND filter on top, but you can stack it the other way around if you wish, but you just need to be aware that the gimbal won't go to bed properly if you leave that wider angle lens on there. Not the end of the world, but just pay attention to that. Okay, something I've been trying to do and I haven't figured it out yet is I'm a big fan of user presets. So you create your settings and then you can save that for a specific thing. Now DJI does this really well with their Pocket 3, Pocket 4, and I've not tried it, but I'm guessing they do the same thing with their Pocket 4P, as well as their, I've got it tucked away here, their action camera series. That's the Action 5 Pro. You can do a user preset on there, and Insta360's Ace Pro 2, you can save user presets on here. Currently, as of me standing here recording this, there are no options for actual user presets on this thing, but I'm hopeful that with a firmware update, we're going to have that option. So just keep that in mind, which is why I went for these run and gun settings. That's how I leave it. I don't worry about anything else. And to be honest, I haven't really needed anything else. So run and gun, flip it on, hit record, capture the moment, cat running up the curtains, grandchildren falling over into the swimming pool, all that good stuff. Okay, next one up then. We've spoken about the best settings. Let's talk about the best color profile settings for this thing. So again, this is all about personal preference. I currently am using the cinematic filter because I like the way it looks when it comes out of the camera and I'm editing it. And the second reason is when I'm using my Sony a6700, which I do a lot of client work with now and quite a lot of YouTube stuff, I run this thing with S-Cinetone, the S-Cinetone color profile, because again, I prefer the look of it, and the cinematic filter on here is the closest match I've got. So if I jump between the two cameras, it works really well for me. But again, just go through all of them, find the one that you like. Then when you've done that, we have the options of changing saturation, sharpness, and contrast. For me, for saturation, through all of the settings, I pull this down. I pulled it down to a number 2. That just looks the best for me. Sharpness, I've got this set to low because anything more than that, again, to my eyes, it just starts to look a bit digitally and I don't think that's very good. And then contrast, again, I've got this pulled all the way back. This is down at number 2, same as that saturation, just because I feel it looks better. And if I was so inclined to do so, I could pull things back up in when I'm editing in DaVinci Resolve. So I run saturation at 2, I run sharpness at low, and I run contrast also down at 2 using that cinematic filter. Okay, at the beginning I was talking about the joystick and how this thing can do way more than just move the little gimbal around, and let me talk you through it. You can click this thing like a mouse click. If you want to focus on something so that the gimbal focuses on it, tracks it, you press it once. So 1 click, you activate subject tracking, 1 click again, you deactivate subject tracking. So you don't have to press the screen. You can if you want, but you don't have to. That's 1 click. It can do more. double click. 2 clicks of the joystick in quick succession will recenter it. So if I point this down and I double click, it re-levels the camera, the gimbal for me, so I can start again. So no matter where I am, if we're at a horizontal, if I double click, brilliant. Haven't had to touch anything, nothing, just double clicked it and it reset. Same again, double click. There it goes. Now, it's got one more trick up its sleeve. On the screen, we can tap it and the gimbal rotates. So it's now selfie mode, if you like, and then we can tap the screen again and it flips back. But again, we don't need to put our greasy, mucky paw prints all over that screen. 3 clicks of the joystick. 1, 2, 3. It spins, selfie mode. 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3. It spins back around. I haven't tried 4. Let's see what 4 does. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 doesn't do anything. 1 click, activate subject tracking, deactivate subject tracking. 2 clicks, recenter the gimbal, the camera. 3 clicks, flip it around to you and then flip it back around to the front. No touching of that screen. Okay then, if you've enjoyed this video about the Insta360 Luna Ultra in the real world and some of the features that aren't very obvious, that would definitely make using it a lot easier, consider hitting that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, maybe share this video with someone who you might think will find it useful. I'd appreciate you doing that, that'd be great. And in the comments below, let me know if you've got one of these, what's the one feature you wish it did have? And if you are thinking about buying one of these, what also is the one feature you're hoping it will have that will make your filming easier? I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Are you even going to be buying one, or are you staying in the DJI camp? Now, YouTube is extremely clever and it knows that you're going to like this video next. So make sure that you watch that video next, and as ever, make sure you stay active. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.